Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yang berbahagia Datuk-Datuk, semua ahli jawatan kuasa serta peserta NGIS yang kelima. Terima kasih juga kepada MC di atas introduction tadi, dan terima kasih kepada Organizing Committee NGIS dan juga NRE kerana telah pun menjemput saya sebagai moderator. Seperti mana kita tahu, tema bagi sesi perbincangan panel pada petang ini ialah Geospatial Innovation Empower National Transformation, dan daripada tajuk itu kata kunci adalah Geospatial Information dan juga National Transformation. Masa yang diberikan kepada saya ialah 45 minit dan 5 orang ahli panel akan bersama dengan kita. Ini bermaksud seorang panel hanya diberi masa 6 minit sahaja, kemudian kita akan adakan question and answer session. Dengan itu saya ingin menjemput untuk naik ke pentas kelima-lima ahli panel, dan yang pertama saya menjemput Yang berbahagia Datuk Profesor Surveyor Dr. Abdul Kadir bin Taib untuk naik ke pentas. Yang kedua, Y.Brs Dr. Mokhtar bin Muhammad Yusoff jemput naik ke pentas. Seterusnya, Y.Brs Puan Fuziah binti Abu Hanifah jemput naik ke pentas. Seterusnya, yang berusaha Profesor Dr. Alias bin Abdul Rahman, dan yang kelima, yang berusaha Surveyor Dr. Noordin bin Ahmad. Izinkan saya baca latar belakang ahli-ahli panel kita pada hari ini. Okey, kita teruskan. Ahli panel yang pertama yang berbahagia Datuk Profesor Surveyor Dr. Abdul Kadir bin Taib yang berada di sebelah kiri saya. Yang berbahagia Datuk is currently the Director General of JUPEM, who has been very active at the national and international level, and currently he holds various positions including Chairman, United Nations Group Expert on Geographical Names for Southeast Asia and Pacific Southwest Division. Also, the member of Advisory Group of International Standards Organization, member of Expert Group, United Nations for Global Geospatial Information Management, and now he's also the Chairman of the Technical Committee on Demarcation and Survey for International Boundary between Malaysia and our neighboring countries. Datuk holds a PhD in Geomatic Engineering from University of New South Wales, Australia in 1994, and Master of Science in Photogrammetry from ITC in 1985, and a Bachelor degree in Land Surveying from UTM in 1978. Welcome, Datuk. Dan saya suka juga memperkenalkan ahli panel yang kedua yang berusaha Dr. Mokhtar Muhammad Yusoff. Dr. Mokhtar is currently Senior ICT Consultant Strategis in the Malaysian Administrative Modernisation and Management Planning Unit MAMPU PMC Department since March 2010, and an adjunct professor at Faculty of Information Technology and Communication, Universiti Technical Malaysia Melaka since August 2005. He obtained his Bachelor of Education in Applied Economics from Universiti Malaya 1976, MSc in Computer Science from UKM in 1984, and PhD in Information System from the University of Salford, UK in 1996. Welcome, Dr. Mokhtar. Ahli panel yang ketiga yang berusaha Puan Fauziah binti Haji Abu Hanifah, the only lady on stage. Puan Fauziah is currently the Director of Malaysian Centre for Geospatial Data Infrastructure, Ministry of National Resources and Environment. Her role in managing the implementation of National Spatial Data Infrastructure for Malaysia under MaCGDI, where among significant tasks include developing partnership among agencies to produce and share geospatial information. Dan yang keempat, yang berusaha Profesor Dr. Alias bin Abdul Rahman, is currently from UTM and the Dean of Faculty of Geoinformation and Real Estate at UTM since April 2011. He has produced more than 100 technical papers for various conferences and workshops worldwide. His active area is in the research in 3D GIS, and he's also the co-chair for ISPRS working group on dynamic and multidimensional GIS. Also Malaysian representative for Urban Data Management Symposium and sits in various international scientific committees worldwide. He holds his PhD from Glasgow, MSc from MSc Science Geoinformation, and postgraduate diploma from ITC Holland, and BSc Surveying and Mapping Sciences from North East London, University of East London, UK. And the last panelist is Yang Berusaha Surveyor Dr. Noordin bin Ahmad, who is currently the Deputy Director General of National Space Agency, and he's one of the flag bearers for geospatial industry in the digital era. He's been involved in many consultancy works, and he holds his PhD from University of Newcastle, UK, and Bachelor of Surveying from University of Melbourne, Australia. Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, kita beri satu tepuk gemuruh untuk kelima-lima ahli panel. Okey, masa kita terhad, kita ada 6 minit sahaja untuk pembentangan tiap-tiap ahli panel dan saya akan bunyi loceng. Kita tidak ada iklan pada masa ini bagi menjimatkan masa. Saya nak terus pergi kepada ahli panel kita yang pertama yang berbagai Datuk. Soalan saya yang pertama kepada Datuk ialah, we are talking about vision 2020, where Malaysia is going to be a developed nation as well as a high income society. Dan kita tahu juga bahawa JUPEM, the role of JUPEM in providing geospatial infrastructure in empowering national transformation. Are you happy with the present infrastructure, Dato'? Or if you're not happy, what are the areas that you think you can improve to overcome the present deficiencies? Very tough question.
Terima kasih, Saudara Surveyor Profesor Dr. Wan Aminuddin as the chairman for this panel discussion, all the ahli panel, Saudara Datuk, tuan-tuan dan puan-puan. Untuk memulakan perbincangan ini dengan soalan yang ditujukan kepada saya ini, memang agak sukar untuk nak menyatakan bahawa setakat mana kita telah pun capai ataupun sejauh mana lagi kita akan memenuhi ruang lingkup yang ada bagi mengatakan bahawa kita telah pun menjadi negara maju dalam perspektif geospatial industry lah. But I would like to recap back from the first day, from the first presentation by Y.Bhg, Datuk Dr. Ahli, our TKSU 1 NRI. Dia menjelaskan government transformation program dan juga halal 7 dalam bidang geospatial, in particular apa yang dikenalikan oleh NRI dan JUPEM Dewan NRI dengan beberapa jabatan yang lain. Dan as you mention juga JUPEM adalah authority dalam bidang survey and mapping dan juga merupakan major geospatial data provider in this country. So, apa yang kita lihat dalam masa 2 hari dan juga I'm glad Dr. Tang from JUPEM, from my department, he has given the overall perspective, the geospatial infrastructure provided by JUPEM. I believe we are already almost complete apa yang telah kita buat selama ini, except we are going on the third dimension, seperti yang dijelaskan di mana we are moving ahead with the 3D cadastre. As you all aware that for 120 over years, cadastre hanya dealing with 2D, X and Y. Dan currently we have in our digital cadastral database about 7+ million land parcel. And we have about 40 over million boundary markers planted in this country, except Sabah and Sarawak. So you can imagine that we are in a very big program to start with the third dimension for cadastral mark. We want to put the exact value to all the boundary markers in this country, and for the future direction, we would like to have all the cadastral to be implemented by 3D cadastre, including maybe the fourth dimension time. We have to look into that. This is the new dimension that we have to put on into our NDCDB. Dan perkara yang lain, to also complete our geodetic infrastructure juga disebut oleh my colleague Dr. Tang. We would like to increase further on our MyRTK nationwide, from 50 to 80 for Semenanjung, and from 28 to 68 for Sabah and Sarawak, in order to fill the gap, whereby single user GPS can, in fact, communicate, you mean to get the information or to get the correction from the MyRTK net everywhere, any place in this country. So, this infrastructure, I would say, we are almost there. So hopefully we can, according to our plan, we hope by 2015 we can complete our exercise to make it Malaysia a complete infrastructure for geospatial. So maybe that is the initial comment. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Datuk, for that. I believe there must be a question from the floor after this. I would like to pose my second question to Yang Berusaha Dr. Mokhtar bin Muhammad Yusoff. I think so much has been talked on the use of geospatial data by various government agencies daripada semalam sampai ke hari ini, that includes lands officers, JMG, JKPTG, Petronas, TM, PDRM, MAMPU dan 999 dan sebagainya. And I think the core issues been discussed since yesterday was the issue of data sharing, data accuracy and data compatibility. Dalam beberapa penyampaian semalam dinyatakan tentang masalah kemahiran, di mana pegawai-pegawai yang veteran telah pun tidak ada, kemudian kita adakan training untuk beberapa orang staff, kemudian only to be transferred a few years later, dengan masalah bebanan kerja yang makin bertambah dan sebagainya, dan kemudian masalah infrastruktur yang dihadapi oleh pelbagai agensi kerajaan, dan juga isu-isu data overlapping. I believe those issues are very pertinent to us, and I think saya nak tanya yang berbahagia Dr. Mokhtar, apakah peranan MAMPU untuk mengatasi masalah ini? Silakan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Terima kasih saudara pengurusi. Sebenarnya isu yang dibangkitkan tu, ya, bukanlah perkara yang baru, ya. Sebab barangkali sejak 2 dekad yang lepas, isu ini dia berulang-ulang, sering dibangkitkan, ya. Dan satu survey yang dibuat pada tahun 2010, ya, mengenai inisiatif ICT di sektor awam, ya. Jadi model yang digunakan ialah model ICT maturity, ya. Dia ada 6 level, ya. Dan didapati bahawa dua isu yang mendapat skor yang paling rendah, iaitu knowledge management, skornya lebih kurang 1 gitu, dan juga change management, ya, change management itu juga skor dia 1. Yang lain tu didapati skor dia ialah 3. Skor 1 ni bermakna tidak ada satu usaha yang teratur lah, ya. Dia banyak ad hoc, itu maknanya level 1. Sedangkan level 3 itu ialah level di mana semua itu telah didokumentkan, ya, dan boleh diikutlah oleh mana-mana agensi. Level 4 ialah level di mana ia ini jadi contoh, boleh Jadi berdasarkan kepada survei itu, ya, kita dapati bahawa knowledge management ini indirectly ialah berkaitan dengan knowledge sharing, ya. Dan ini didapati bahawa unsur tidak adanya knowledge sharing ini menyebabkan banyak agensi, ya, membuat aktivitinya secara tersendirilah, tidak ada kaitan, ya, tidak saling berkaitan. Dan sebagai usaha untuk mengatasi masalah itu, sebenarnya pihak MAMPU sebenarnya dah ada 2 siri kita keluarkan, ya. Kita keluarkan ICT untuk public sector, ya, maknanya strategic planning untuk public sector. Ini sebenarnya ialah usaha-usaha untuk menggalakkan perkongsian maklumat, ya, melalui 3 aspek lah, teknologi, business dan juga manusia lah, people, ya. Dan kalau kita lihat bahawa salah satu inisiatif yang telah diperkenalkan, ya, dalam ICT planning, strategic planning untuk tahun 2011 ialah menggalakkan information architecture, ya. Bermakna kena ada this architecture untuk menentukan, ya, data items, ya, bagi tiap-tiap aplikasi itu, supaya agensi-agensi tidak duplicate lah, tidak mengumpul data yang sama, ya. Dan ini diharapkan akan dapat menjimatkan resources, tenaga. Tetapi usaha ke arah information architecture ini sebenarnya belum ada lagi agensi yang buat, belum ada. Ini adalah satu usaha yang agak besar, kerana inisiatif itu perlu dibuat bukan kepada individual agensi, tetapi kepada semua agensi lah. Jadi untuk itu sebenarnya MAMPU telah pun membahagikan kepada sektoral. Jadi kita akan buat projek perintis untuk sektor tertentu, supaya dapat diwujudkan information architecture ni lah. Tapi pada masa yang sama juga kita telah minta supaya sektor-sektor ni tadi juga mengadakan inisiatif untuk mewujudkan information architecture itu supaya tidak berlaku duplication. Itu satu. Yang kedua, information architecture juga perlu supaya kita address legacy issues. Adanya agensi-agensi yang memang telah pun menggunakan peristian legacy dan mereka nak mengubah atau nak menukar ini bukannya mudah kerana kos. Tadilah macam yang saudara pun sebut, kos, training, latihan, dan juga resources yang lain. Jadi legacy kadang-kadang oleh kerana legacy issues ni kita dapati dia hanya di peringkat operasi lah, operational. Dia tidak dapat itu yang menjadikan aplikasi itu isolated kerana dia tidak naik ke atas. Dia bottom up. Jadi bila bottom up, dia hanya bila adanya kekangan legacy ini tadi, legacy application, dia tidak dapat share data juga. Itu another issue yang kena lihatlah. Berkaitan dengan tadi yang dibangkitkan mengenai kemahiran, sebenarnya dia ada dua perkara. Satu kemahiran khusus dan satu lagi kemahiran maknanya appreciate penggunaan maklumat itu sendiri. Dan biasanya kemahiran khusus ni kita dapati bahawa ianya boleh diperolehi dalam masa yang singkat. Tapi yang lebih penting ialah kemahiran untuk melihat keperluan bisnes. Itu yang lebih penting lagi lah. Jadi yang ini sebenarnya itu sebab tadi kita dapati bahawa change management tu dia rendah skor dia. Kerana yang ini tidak ada satu program yang begitu teratur lah. Jadi itu adalah perkara yang memang kita lihat. Sebab teknologi ni, investment in teknologi ni very expensive. Jadi kalau sekiranya kita abaikan change management tu, itu yang tadi timbul masalah bila orang bertukar, tak ada siapa yang nak ambil alih dan sebagainya. That is an issue need to be addressed. Jadi barangkali respons saya setakat itu.
Thank you very much for that response. Serious issues seperti legacy, kemudian masalah duplication of data collection dan sebagainya. Saya yang khawatir ialah benda yang sama kita akan bincangkan di masa-masa akan datang. Kita lihat pula maybe kalau di pandangan dari segi MaCGDI pula Puan Fauziah, MaCGDI ditubuhkan untuk menyelaras infrastruktur perkongsian data Geospatial di bawah program MaCGDI. Dan kita sekarang berada pada tahun 2012. Do you think MaCGDI has achieved the main objective of the core business of your organisation with regards to the core issues yang kita bincang tadi, data sharing, data confidentiality dan juga data integrity, Puan Fauziah?
Terima kasih saudara pengerusi. Assalamualaikum. Itulah soalan yang selalu saya terimalah daripada mana-mana conference. Tapi saya ingin mengambil peluang pada hari ini. Mungkin ramai lagi yang tak faham program MaCGDI. MaCGDI is not belong to MaCGDI, is not belong to NRE. MaCGDI is our national program, National Spatial Data Infrastructure. Dan dia ada beberapa komponen yang di dalam SDI ni dan dah terangkan oleh Puan Mariam pada presentation tadi. Tapi saya rasa ramai lagi agensi yang agak confused. That's why soalan daripada Tuan Pengerusi agak susah untuk saya mengukur pencapaian MaCGDI. Bagi saya, infrastruktur yang kami sediakan dah ada. Infra untuk perkongsian itu memang dah ada. Tapi kalau kita lihat berapa ramaikah agensi yang volunteer nak share dia data through our infrastructure. Kalau kita lihat daripada beberapa siri yang kita adakan, sememangnya perkongsian data ni adalah amat penting dan agak kritikal. Sebab setiap agensi, for sure you want other people's data. You tak boleh hidup sendiri. Agensi A perlukan data from agensi B dan sebagainya. Everybody realize the importance of data sharing. Tapi cuba kita tanya diri kita sendiri. Berapa jumlah data daripada agensi kita yang kita kongsikan through MaCGDI? Sama ada berbayar ataupun tidak berbayar. Infrastruktur kita dah sediakan standard, kita dah sediakan guideline. Tapi berapa ramaikah yang betul-betul comply kepada apa-apa prosedur yang kita telah kita sediakan. Tapi isu ini bukan sahaja dihadapi oleh Malaysia. Isu daripada dan cabaran pelaksanaan NSDI ini adalah sama saja di negara-negara lain juga. Isu data availability, isu data quality, isu data currentness, and then isu resources, human resource and budget and etc. Tapi alhamdulillah sehingga kini kita dah ada dalam katalog kita 2,000 lebih metadata. Meaning tu saya telah ada 2,000 lebih data set yang sedia untuk dikongsikan. Dan dari segi teknologi inovasi masa kini Our challenges is the technology very fast. Dan currently, kalau kita lihat kita punya the way forward for MaCGDI, pada awal 1997 bila nalis, kita cuma perkongsian data among the land related agencies. Kita gunakan konsep distributed, data letak kat server masing-masing. Kemudian kita bangunkan satu aplikasi untuk it can be accessible by the users. And then kita go on to konsep application base. Kita develop. Selain data sharing, untuk kita introduce the importance of geospatial data, MaCGDI take initiative untuk bangunkan aplikasi. So mereka tak nampak MaCGDI contribution kalau tidak ada aplikasi. So kami introduce kepada agensi-agensi yang tidak ada aplikasi GIS, about G4E, Geoinformation for Executive, for the executive level. Dan kita ada partner dengan pejabat tanah, dengan Penang GIS dan sebagainya. Kita try to develop the importance of geospatial data supaya mereka nampak. Tapi bukan, dia tak nampak yang MaCGDI Pak. MaCGDI is infrastructure untuk perkongsian data. And then the next step, in 2010, what we did is that kita try to introduce service-oriented architecture. Kalau kita lihat currently, when you access Google, actually you are accessing the services only. Kita tak dapat the raw data. Jadi kita dalam MaCGDI Explorer try to introduce daripada data services kepada service oriented. Meaning to say, if tuan-tuan perempuan ada data nak di-share, you can just publish on your server and gunakan internet teknologi. We just can grab your services through our MaCGDI Explorer. Teknologinya dah ada, infrastrukturnya dah ada. Tapi kita sebagai agensi yang bertanggungjawab dalam data kerajaan, kita kena volunteer sendiri untuk publish our product through our what we call that national infrastructure. It's not belong to MaCGDI, it's not belong to NRE as well. Dan juga kalau kita lihat sekarang ni, kita telah membangunkan pelbagai garis panduan, bagaimana nak publish dan sebagainya. Dan saya dapati ada agensi yang memang volunteer nak share, tapi dia punya peratus tu masih kurang. Dan kita pada hari pertama kita dah bagi anugerah kepada agensi-agensi yang agak aktif sekarang ni. Tapi alhamdulillah saya rasa progresnya agak meningkat juga, Tuan Musi. Sebab daripada kajian impak bersama MAMPU, kita lihat peningkatan agensi yang mengguna data pun daripada 14% dah kepada 90%. Jadi kita lihat dia punya incremental percentage tu agak tinggi. Juga currently kita try to involve the private sector. In fact, kalau lihat the current trend of SDI luar negara pun telah menggunakan PPP konsep, public and private partnership. Di mana di Australia memang menggunakan this konsep untuk running dia SDI in Victoria State. Jadi ini another trend in the SDI for overall di luar sana lah. Jadi di Malaysia juga kita mengikut trend berkenaan. Dan saya amat berharap melalui simposium begini kita akan lihat betapa ramainya sudah agensi-agensi memulakan dia inisiatif on the geospatial data usage. Dan kita lihat ada data yang duplicate sana sini dan sebagainya. Jadi bersama-samalah MaCGDI mengharapkan supaya agensi-agensi pembekal data ini dapat berkongsi dengan agensi lain through MaCGDI. Terima kasih.
Thank you very much, Puan Fauzia. At least the point is we are on the right track. We should be on the right track. Data sharing. As a layman, sometimes people talk about the bosses make a decision, but the implementation by those down the line is another issue. So dalam bahasa mudahnya orang kata cakap tak sama bikin. I believe lots of MOUs has been done to cater this problem of data sharing, and I hope we are going in that direction. Let me pose this question to Prof. Alias. Prof. Alias is actually a 3D GIS man. and is now the Dean at UTM. Now, talking from the education point of view, how can the present system within our IPTA and IPTS explore and looking into the Malaysian geospatial stakeholders so that all parties will be benefited, including the next generation of this geomatician professional? What is in the pipeline as far as university is concerned, Prof. Alias?
Terima kasih pengurusi, Professor Wan. I would like to share with you a couple of slides. Can I use my slide? Thank you. Terima kasih sekali lagi kepada pengurusi majlis, Profesor Wan dan juga ahli-ahli panel. There are a couple of issues that I would like to discuss today or share with you on the research and education toward geospatial innovations. I will talk on 3D GIS research and then what we do at the UTM as far as the research is concerned, and then education in GI, science, and geomatic as mentioned by Pengurusi just now, and then of course final remarks. I choose this subtopic of the issue today, 3D GIS research, because it is close to my heart. I know we can do many things as far as the GIS research. You can do a virtual thing, you can do GIS plus game, you can do open GIS, disaster things, and other GIS applications. But today I would just want to discuss with you what we can do as far as the 3D GIS research within our society in Malaysia. At the moment, research in 3D GIS basically still dominated by several institutions from Europe, right? Especially from Western Europe, North America, and of course Asia. We see not many from Latin America, and of course Russia, maybe because of the language. I'm very sure there are other leading groups within East Asia like Japan and China. I just list a couple of strong groups in 3D GIS. For example, TU Berlin, very strong in 3D city modeling. In fact, TU Berlin is currently the head of CityGML OJC kind of group, the leading group at the moment, who produce various standards in OJC 3D GIS. TU Delft from Netherlands. Heidelberg, quite strong in 3D SDI. We would like to emulate what they did in Heidelberg City for Putrajaya. Laval University, very strong in 3D GIS as well. The only North American university involved in 3D GIS at the moment, quite surprisingly. And then of course your university, also Canada, very strong in sensor-based kind of sensor integration kind of 3D GIS research. From sensor, produce 3D pattern recognition, and then you can download into your 3D GIS solution. And then of course our colleague from Wuhan, very strong integration of city model together with standard GIS, could be web or could be standalone. And of course we also try to do the same thing in Malaysia. Oracle, yeah, the other partners in industry, to me, leading database vendor at the moment. Very good in 3D database. You can have this, for example, Oracle Special 11G or the latest version. But still, although they are very good in a database, but still, if we want to do some special analysis on a very complex 3D object, then we have problem. Yeah, within Oracle Special at the moment. Bentley, struggling, very good in CAD, but not so good in information or topology, if you like to say. And of course, at the end, Esri following the trail. Very good in 3D GIS, but still struggling in a 3D database. If you have 3D objects, I'm very sure you cannot able to solve within Esri database at the moment. So, unlike 2D GIS, right? If you go to the market, you can ask for okay, can I buy this view, or can I buy this GIS, or can I buy this 2D GIS? Yes, your vendor normally say yes. We have the solution, right? But if you ask for real or true 3D GIS software, then normally they say maybe yes, maybe no, right? So the solution for our 3D spatial object at the moment still not there yet. Why? We will see. So I would like to propose initiative number 1, basically 3D plus time plus scale. So basically 5D, yeah? 5D, 3D plus time plus scale. So these are the problems or the aspect that we need to tackle if we want to come up with a good 3D GIS, plus another D, right? Data structure must be good, must be correct. Data modeling must be sound. Semantic modeling is another very good aspect today, not just typical information, but semantic also play a very big role at the moment. Database also play a big role, right? As for the 3D database, we have a lot of things need to be addressed, right? Visualization, no problem, fantastic visualization. I can say 99.999% solved as far as the visualization for 3D objects plus time plus scale. Initiative number 2, 2D, 3D VGI, as well as 3D PHB, right? 3D VGI stands for 3D Volunteer Geographic Information. 3D PHB is basically the new stuff if you want to deliver your services to your client within, within certain areas. For example, you can see in the recent problem in Japan tsunami, they use PHB in order to disseminate all the information. This PHB is basically recently developed in 2007 by Osman Haq. He's an architect. He's an architect from UK, but he was very focused in disseminating the information to the user. So he came out with a very nice tool, 3D PHB. Spatial data acquisition, for example, mapping in UK, they use volunteer basis, right? Even in Greece, they use volunteer basis to come out or to finish the cadastral projects, right? By having crowdsourcing all those aspects. Crowdsourcing is very interesting at the moment. I'm not sure we can do it in Malaysia or not, but in certain countries like UK or Greece, they are just already implemented this. Spatial data modeling must be very simple and easy because we are involved with this mass of people on the street. I think most of us now having a good smartphone with GPS, So should be able to capture the data for us, very easy. But again, we need to have a special or simple data modeling in order to help our agencies, for example. Again, privacy issue, if you're talking about volunteer basis, private issue need to be addressed as well. Some objects or some address need to be filtered, for example. Of course, other emerging social media technologies like Facebook, right? So Facebook maybe can be linked to spatial data aspect. These are the description of the PASH Bay. Initiative number 3, I think we already discussed this a few months ago. National 3D standard. I think we have to have this. Yeah? Otherwise, everybody going to create their own 3D model without any standard, right? Various people in the country at the moment try to attempt to collect 3D data, at the same time try to generate their own 3D model, but without any standard. So, 3D information that we have, is it okay? Is it or not okay? Right? At the moment, there is a working group on 3D Etika. Right? Sometimes you produce 3D object, is that correct or not? The validation must be there. Otherwise, vendor just propose to the client, okay, this is your object. As long as your client happy, then they accept and then pay the cost. I was given a warning with the time. But again, give me a few minutes extra, please, Pengurusi. And then we have pilot project at the moment, 3D model, 3D cadastre, underground utility, multiple cadastre, 3D. So I think by having this 3D, by having this pilot project, we really need to extend our existing 2D standard into OJC compliant 3D standard. National Research Consortium, I think we already discussed a few months ago in Alustar. Universities need to be involved. National agency like JUPEM, MaCGDI need to be involved. Private sector also need to be involved if we want to make Malaysia a very nice place to do research in GIS. HBM, I'll go briefly. I don't want to discuss this. This is potential. This is some works done by our groups. Just go quickly. GPS, photogrammetry, 3D GIS. I don't want to go into detail. Since I have no time, basically, I want to show you this one. GIS and geomatic education in Malaysia. Of course, need to have well-defined and relevant curriculum and syllabus. Accredited, MQA. At the moment, we have MQA-based accreditation, professional bodies, LJT. But there is an initiative at the moment by our Pengurusi, GAC or SAC or GIAC. I call it GIAC because if you want to make it global. It must be OBE-based, right? And then, to me, based on my colleagues' discussion, UTM fully support this idea, GAC or SAC. Because this council basically attempt to help LJT in order to improve our geomatic or GIS education in country, so that we are on par with other partners around the globe. Yeah? People on engineering side, they are based on Washington Accord. Right? So we, at the same time, need to have this. Otherwise, we'll be left behind. Final remarks. Basically, there are many things can be done. I just go through quickly. Special research, education, and other business definitely will change in this country, whether you like it or not. 1956, 4 megabyte hard disk transported by Pan Am airplane, and today within your palm, 4 megabyte, or much bigger. Upcoming summer school in UTM, please join us in July. Also, upcoming workshop in November, please join us. by submitting your paper. I think with that, thank you very much, Pengusi.
Thank you very much, Prof. Alias. I believe there's so many things to deliver. You talk about GSC. I was surprised you mentioned about GSC. That should be another forum. May I proceed with the last speaker, Surveyor Dr. Noordin Ahmad. Surveyor Dr. Noordin is a man known for talking about the latest technology. Technology expectation in geospatial industry is always very high. We always demand the latest technology. As far as ANCASA is concerned, as a regulatory body on space platform, what is the future of the local space industry, in particular referring to the Earth Observatory System, or EOS, to provide geospatial data from space? Dr. Noordin.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and very good afternoon. Okay, actually, the word that we are using now is geospatial. And I think for the past possibly 2 days that we're here, probably most of you will be looking at the data on the ground. Not many have the thought of where the data come from. As an agency that deal with data, the flying things out in the space, actually most of the technology, whether you realize or not, currently, especially the data part, that be relied by so-called geospatial specialists or geospatial data collectors or geospatial users are from space. By 2015 or 2020, Malaysia will be the country that have the highest in terms of receiving, if QZSS, if BIDU system, Compass system of China, if Galileo from Europe is operating, Malaysia has the highest concentration of GNSS satellite in the world. Whether you realize or not, or you're going to take the opportunity, we can find at one time, in within an instant, there will be 30 satellites above us. So we cannot deny that that is opportunity for us. And of course, we are promoting the technology to be utilized. But the question was on Earth observation. If you look at the countries in the world, no countries will be called a developed countries if they don't have a satellite programs. So Malaysia is one of those who are willing to be the developed countries by 2020. Hence, we have to be involved in this technology as well. And our experience means local experience of building and operating satellites, mainly the experimental Tiong-SAT and Razak-SAT, have shown that we needs this technology, not for the sake of just using the technology, but developing the technology. Hence, for the geospatial industry to be developed fully, I mean, I would say, I would for sure, most of you here who have been using Google's map or Google Earth, or even you're using your GIS on desktop, it will be very nice if you have the satellite image on top of your vector data. Hence, one of the approach that, or one of the things that ANCASA is now trying very much to convince the government is that satellite imagery is not a luxury, it's going to be a necessity. The benefits or the returns is of course intangible, and unless all of us here would able to appreciate and give the values to the our own satellites, then probably the decision makers may be able to provide more opportunities for us to have these satellites. Currently, we are given the opportunity to have the second satellites, observation satellites, which is Razak-Sat. It will be called Razak-Sat 2, or I'm not too sure, depend on the Prime Minister, whether he want to call Najib-Sat after this. But at the moment, it's called Razak-Sat 2. It will be hoped to be launched by 2015. It's already in the first stage of designing, and the user requirement study is about to be finalized by end of this month to understand the requirement of the user for our, basically, mainly for geospatial usage, because of course Razak-Sat is an Earth observation satellite. So back to the questions on the role of Angkasa and its technology and the dissemination of information. We are working currently with MKN, hoping that the data that we are going to be observing from Razak-Sat is going to be freely available for all government agencies, and we do hope that it is going to be a 2 meter or less, the resolutions. We do hope that this, the data is going to be utilized fully by all agencies for if we can use the words, to empower the transformation of the country. I think I'll stop that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that, Dr. Noordin. Can I have any question from the floor, please? Maybe, yes, Dr. Rashid.
Thank you, Prof. Aminuddin. I really enjoyed your presentations, your discussion for this evening, also for the last 2 days. And as I ponder upon yesterday's paper presentations, I reflect upon the last 20 years. We have been talking about data sharing, and this is up to where we have got. Every 5 years, government agencies bid for allocations, asking to collect more and more data. Everyone wants to collect data. Now they want to use the latest technology, LiDAR. Now Dr. Noordin talking about the 30 satellites at one time, more data coming in, but the users still starving for data. What's happening? Yesterday, the Deputy Secretary General said in one of the slides, I think, or was it from MAMPU, it's not our culture. So unfortunate. Now we have so many NKRA, we have so many government objectives. How about putting a KPI for all government departments, okay? A KPI for data sharing. Have an index. This year, this department shared data with how many other departments and how many multiple departments. Have a composite index and question them on this data sharing. This suggestion should go to the KSM, should go to MAMPU, and find a way to implement. I mean, 20 years is a very long time waiting for data sharing to happen. So some push got to be done. So this is also, I think, very much in line with our culture. Only thing in the government departments, maybe we inherited the system from the British. They had a difficult time to share. They didn't want to share. They're colonizing us. But in our culture, you know, sharing is caring and caring is loving. And I think we should bang on that culture. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rashid. I like your word. Sharing is loving, loving is caring. The fact is, we can't even share our money with our own brother, you see. So, I don't know how to put that question to our, perhaps Dr. Mokhtar, can you say something on that?
Tadi Tuan Musi saya sebut mengenai inisiatif kerajaan lah dari segi apa tu yang kita maktubkan dalam ICT Strategic Planning tu. Maknanya proses ni kena mula. Dia tidak dimulakan. Sebenarnya untuk kita sharing ni we must have common interest. If we don't have common interest, then the sharing is impossible. Now, if we can see that the other initiative that initiated by MAMPU is to have a seamless, is more of a service-oriented. It's no longer isolated application, which now is being initiated by individual ministries or department. If we can see under the NKRA, it is a combination of various agencies, because they are trying to provide services. This is one way of promoting sharing. It's a process. It's not something that we can achieve overnight. It's a process that is we need to nurture it, sharing it. And of course, when we have many agencies share the same common services, then that sharing happens. A few examples, as I said just now, under that NKRA initiative. And it's going to be more. In fact, MAMPU approach now in approving ICT application, now we look at common services rather than individual. That's why, in fact, ICT budget is being controlled now. We only allow application that promotes across agencies kind of application. No longer isolated need of an agencies. So it's a process and it takes time.
Thank you, Dr. Mokhtar. Time is running short. I just want to pose one last question to Datuk Kadir sebagai KP JUPEM. I know you have a long list of things to do for 2020, but again, the issue of data sharing. What is your role to solve this data sharing issue? I think that's the main issue we are facing now, Datuk.
Terima kasih, Saudara Pengurusi. Talking about geospatial, of course, most of the, agency like JUPEM in other countries also, we are always talking about the data should be collected by one agency once and to be used by many agencies. So collect once by one agency and used by many agencies. So this concept is still not yet really realized. So as we can see in Malaysia, we have so many data providers. There are data providers, there are data users, and value add become new data providers, And some agency, they don't have anything to share, but they just want the data. This is purely data users. So now back to geospatial data. For example, in JUPEM, we are collecting cadastral data, cadastral information. So we don't want other agency to collect the same thing, do the survey what we are doing in JUPEM. So we are the only agency providing that data. Of course, we don't want other data, And the same thing for mapping also. So we are giving what we have. We collect and we expect everyone use our data. We don't want other agencies to collect the same data. But of course, to some agency like from forestry or JKR, they are collecting road data. We want their information. We want to update our road information in our database. We want forestry information to update our forest cover in our topographic database. Similarly, soil from agriculture. So maybe in that sense, we can give away our data, be cadastral data or topographic data. At the same time, they have also to give us their information. So, but to some other agency, I'm not sure, because under MaCGDI, we in fact organize many workshops, to come up with what we call it framework data set. There are 12 layers of information, and we have also organized many series of awareness program. We want the agency, to come up what are the data to be shared by other agencies. So of course, there are agencies quite reluctant to share. So these are, we put it under what we call it institutional issues, because the commitment from that agency to share, willingness to share, But I think we still have to work very hard, in order to motivate, encourage them. But as far as the data pricings, I think now among government agencies, we are giving free data. Similarly, we want other agencies also to give free data to other agencies, as long as for the benefit of the development planning and so on, for the government use. So I think with that, I encourage all the agencies to look back and discuss with their superiors, the importance of data to be shared among agencies. So no point you keep for yourself, you don't want to share. So if you want Malaysia to become a developed nation or in 2020, so I think we have to open our mind, our mindset. We need to share. You cannot be so isolated. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Datuk. Of course, it is a very big issue. Nothing can be solved in just 45 minutes given to me. I think one of the biggest mistakes is to allocate only 45 minutes for this very encouraging discussion. I have to stop here for the next agenda. So may I thank you again to all the 5 panelists yang berbagai, Datuk Profesor Surveyor Dr. Abdul bin Taib, yang berusaha Dr. Mokhtar bin Muhammad Yusoff, yang berusaha Puan Fuziah binti Abu Hanifah, yang berusaha Profesor Dr. Alias bin Abdul Rahman, yang berusaha Surveyor Dr. Noordin bin Ahmad for your contribution, and thank you also to the audience for being together with us. I believe we must have more of this session in the future. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.